Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Pravache here. We're going to give you a quick tutorial on how to use Craig's brand new texture series, the Alcazar and the Havana. Now, I want to make sure you've taken care of a few things that I mentioned in the previous tutorial. The textures are both loaded on your C drive. Very important, otherwise it will not work properly. Next thing you want to do is, I like to load the PDF files, which shows the textures. I've already got them loaded here. Let me just get rid of this for you guys. Here we got the Havana, and here we got the Alcazar. The Alcazar's got 8 verticals, and the rest are horizontals. You know, and you could switch them around if you wanted to. If you found, say, for example, number 2, it may still work as a horizontal, so you get to play with them. Likewise with the Havana series. So when you're picking a texture, kind of look at the image. You know, this one here, for example, of this beautiful young lady, I was looking at this particular texture right here. And I thought that that would be very suitable, or perhaps something like this, you know, somewhat of a sepia tone-esque sort of texture. So, and then likewise with this one here, you would pick something that is very suitable, very soft, very feminine. The image that I'm going to work on is this one right here, as I show you the tutorial. Well, I should mention too, by the way, when you run the first action in either series, the art version, so art effects, so if you go to 01 in Havana or Alcazar, it'll give you a step-by-step what to do, pop-ups explaining each step. So you could do that if you want, but I'm going to show you sort of the shortcut, get in there real quick sort of rendition. Also wanted to mention quickly that the artifacts will drop the texture, but it'll give you much more leeway, many more options, and much more creativity. So if you want to just drop the texture with minimal adjustment capabilities, just go in the Craig's Action texture version, okay? So I prefer to go in the art version myself. So for this image here, I'm going to go into the Alcazar right here, this brick right here. I'm going to go with number 16. Let's go fire that action up right now. There we got it, Alcazar number 16, which is a horizontal. Art effects, fire that sucker up. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. Sorry. Let's cancel that. I had the wrong image right here. There we go. Let's try that again, guys. Let's do that again. All right, it's going to take a few seconds to load. It's creating many layers. It's building the actual steps that are going to be required with which you're going to play with. So at this point in time, I can say some nice things about Craig. Craig's one of the first guys to actually show me the digital world. When I first got into digital 12 years ago in 2000, he was a pioneer. All right, the action's done. Look at that. It's created all these layers for you with everything's ready to go, pretty much. The first thing you want to do is you want to start erasing away the texture. That's what I wanted to do anyways, and as it turns out, it already defaults to the brush. It's using a mask layer. So if you have the white or black foreground background, the default settings here, one will erase and one will add. So you always have that capability. So you've got your opacity, here, everything is good to go. Let's start erasing. You get to choose exactly as much or as little as you would like. Now, it's not taking all the texture layer away, but I'm going to show you how to get rid of the rest in a minute. Alright, so if we do that, of course you can increase your opacity and brush out a little bit more. As you can tell right there on the mask layer. Now if you decide, oh, I didn't want to take away that much, just go back in there, switch your foreground, background, and you can go back and erase back some of the original textures. So it's very straightforward in that respect. So now you can, if you want, you can go in here, start playing with the saturation and the hue. Okay, it's very mild. It's a very mild effect because it's really just working on the texture layer. And you can go and do the same thing here with your contrast. Now I want to erase a little bit more of that texture, so I'm going to go back down here, and I'm just going to click on there, and I'm going to erase a little more. See how it's going into her face and into her face? I don't want it so much in the neck. All right. Yeah, it's kind of looking okay. Well, maybe a little bit too much up here. Let's crank up that opacity. So that's the first thing I want to do. First thing I want to do is start erasing away some of the texture. And then again, you can go in and play with some of the different effects. In here, you can adjust the contrast on one of the layers of the particular texture. Now, if you want to invert it, you can turn that on, and it'll just invert the actual texture layer, and that'll matter depending on the image, depending what you're after. Okay, so it's kind of one of those options that's thrown in there. Play with it, use it for what it's worth. If it doesn't work for you, that's cool. And again, you can adjust the saturation, hue, contrast on the texture layer a bit more and tweak it. There are other ways I'm going to show you in a minute on how to tweak the tint a little bit more, but I'll show you that in a minute. So you can go in here and start playing with the contrast and adjust that if you wish a little bit more, and the color balance, and again use saturation. So let's go on top right here. I'm going to show you tint controls, and that'll adjust the overall tint and contrast, of course. Wait a minute. Boing. Yeah, let's go here first. Okay, so what it does is it works with the overall tonality with minimal effect on the actual image itself. And it's important if you want to make the image more consistent with the tones. That's where you go into tint controls. Okay, and you can tweak and play a little bit more. To me, this is really cool because it reminds me of some of the plugins where you can adjust the colors and the tints and give all sorts of different effects. It's just really cool in that respect. I really dig that a lot. So it gives you total flexibility. A little more work because it's not as plug and play, but I mean, heck, I mean, you should really, we should all as artists know the basics of Photoshop, and that involves hue, saturation, contrast, and working with shadows, midtones, and highlights, and as well as composition within the image, and you can make it all harmonize in one continuous flow. So I don't know why, but I kind of like that look, so I'm just going to keep that the way it is. Okay, you notice that the pinks and the greens and the reds didn't get affected so much, and that's one of the bonuses of working with that. I'm going to erase this a little bit more. Just a little more. Okay, let's go up to light vignette. That's really cool. Hey, who doesn't dig that? Some images of white vignette works a little bit better than other images. You can go and adjust your opacity on top. And likewise, you can go to dark vignette and just turn that on and do the same thing. Just go adjust your opacity. Whoops, that's not working. Major, sorry. And that's still not working, so let's go here. Okay, well, you know what? I'm on the wrong one. That's why. I'll get it together. Hold on. There we go. My bad. So you can adjust it as well there. So depending what you want. I mean, it gives you a lot of options, and there's many areas that you can go into for total creativity. So I'm just trying to think if I forgot anything here. I think I got everything covered. There's if you go to the texture layer down here, you'll notice that it's on soft light, and you can play with this a bit. If you want to go with something much edgier, you change the blend mode. Okay, you can adjust the opacity, but if you don't like it's on, again, the default's on soft light, and you can bring it up to normal. You can try different looks with different textures, depending what you like. I find that the default settings do a pretty good job as it is. So again, depending on the image, work with the texture that you like the most. Look at the Alcazar series. Look at the Havana images. Go to Craig's website. He's got some cool examples that really show some of the images. He's got a good cross section, and that's what really inspired me. When I first had a look at these, I was looking at the possibilities just by looking at the before and after images that Craig had, and you know, I was pretty much blown away, and continue to be blown away. There's a bit of a learning curve. I'm showing you the basics here, get you set up in the right kind of in the right direction. But one thing you'll notice about Craig is if you have a question or if you have a suggestion, you can always easily accessible. He's the kind of guy that's willing to help you out. So, all right, guys. Hope this has given you some insight into Craig's new direction with his textures. And have yourselves a great day. Thanks. Bye for now.